The sky turned red when the alien ships came. No one expected the invasion to begin on a quiet day in the middle of harvest season. Fields burned. Cities collapsed. The humans were not ready. They had no warning, no time to gather strength. The enemy didn't send diplomats or demands. They just dropped soldiers from the sky like a storm of steel and fire. The first to land was not a general. She was something more dangerous. An alien Amazon. Nearly 7 feet tall, wrapped in black armored scales. Her white hair flying like flame, and her eyes glowing with emerald rage. She walked through a human platoon like a blade through water. Skulls cracked beneath her boots. No bullet slowed her down. No scream changed her course. She was called Veil Zera. Earth's forces tried to fight back. Jets filled the air. Tanks rolled through broken streets. But the alien warriors were stronger, faster, born in war. The Amazon led her sisters into every battlefield. They didn't speak. They didn't show mercy. Wherever she went, fear followed like a shadow. The humans gave her a name, the Skullbreaker. It spread fast through every radio and every frightened whisper. She became a nightmare in broad daylight. Nobody had seen her bleed. Some believed she was not alive at all, but some kind of demon built in space. In one city, a soldier named Kyle watched from a rooftop as the Amazon crushed a man's skull with one hand. She didn't hesitate, didn't blink. But for a moment, her eyes met his. They glowed even brighter when she saw he didn't run. Kyle had lost his whole squad in less than 3 minutes. Burned alive, slashed apart, the alien blade had no mercy. But something inside him wouldn't let him retreat. Maybe it was madness, maybe just fury. He raised his rifle and fired. The bullets hit her armor and bounced away like pebbles. She turned her full attention toward him. The other aliens backed away like they knew what was coming. Veil Zera leaped toward the building with one bound and landed in front of him with the weight of a collapsing world. Kyle's rifle clicked. Empty. His hands didn't tremble. He looked into her glowing green eyes and said the one thing no one else had ever dared. If you're going to kill me, do it now. Her hand reached out. Her claws touched his chest. But she didn't strike. Instead, something strange happened. The glow in her eyes dimmed just a little. Her head tilted. She sniffed the air. And then, her hand dropped to her side. The others watched from a distance, confused. She didn't move to finish him. Instead, she spoke her first words on Earth. "You are different," she said. Kyle didn't know what that meant. He couldn't respond, not with his heart pounding like thunder. But she didn't kill him. She turned her back and walked away. The other aliens followed her, leaving Kyle alone on that ruined rooftop. That moment changed everything. Word spread that the Skullbreaker had spared a human. Some thought it was a trick. Some said it was weakness. But others saw a strange hope. If one man could survive her, maybe others could too. Veil Zera returned to her warpath the next day. But now, something was different. She began showing hesitation. Her eyes lingered longer when she saw humans that didn't run. Her kills became fewer. She didn't speak again, but something inside her had changed. Kyle was pulled out of the city by a resistance group. They treated him like a ghost who returned from the dead. But all he could think about was her eyes. Those green burning eyes that had looked at him like no one else ever had. Command wanted to interrogate him. Scientists wanted to study his gear. Psychologists wanted to ask him 1,000 questions. But Kyle stayed silent about what he really saw because he couldn't explain it. It wasn't logic. It was instinct. She had felt something. So had he. Days passed. The war grew worse. Cities fell. Humans fought harder. But rumors spread again. In one town, Veil Zera left without killing anyone. In another, she halted her blade in front of a child. Her own soldiers began questioning her leadership. Back in a ruined shelter, Kyle stared at the cracked helmet he wore that day. The one her claws had touched, that touch had burned him. Not with pain, but something deeper. Something he couldn't describe. He dreamed of her every night, and far away, in a black alien camp lit by green fires, the Skullbreaker stood alone. Before a polished stone, her fingers traced its edge. She whispered a name she had never spoken aloud before. Kyle. The war was not over. But something new had begun. Kyle awoke to the sound of distant explosions. The resistance camp was on high alert. Fighters scrambled outside, shouting warnings. He grabbed his gear, heart racing. Every time the sky lit up, he expected to see her silhouette through the smoke. But this wasn't her. The attack came from a rival alien faction, not Skullbreakers. These ones were different, more savage, less organized. They slaughtered without any control. The humans didn't stand a chance if the lines broke. Kyle joined the front line without thinking. He didn't care if he died. Not anymore. Something inside him had changed the day Veil Zira touched him. He wasn't afraid. He felt pulled toward something, like gravity in his blood. The enemy wave slammed into the camp like a flood. Humans screamed, guns flashed. Bodies fell, but Kyle held his ground. His hands were steady. His shots were clean. For a moment, he saw nothing but purpose. Then a shadow dropped from above. Not a bomb, not a beast. Her Veil Zira landed between Kyle and the enemy raiders. Her claws tore into them like paper. She didn't speak. Her body moved like thunder and ice. Kyle stood frozen as her back shielded him from death. One of the aliens charged her with a plasma blade. She ducked under it and drove her elbow into its jaw. The skull cracked. The body crumbled. She looked at Kyle once, just once, and then turned back to the fight. The other raiders began to retreat. Not because they were losing, but because they saw her. Even alien killers feared her. She didn't chase them. She just stood there, chest rising, eyes locked on Kyle. The humans didn't cheer. They didn't even breathe. No one understood what just happened. Veil Zira had saved them. And now she stood in their camp, silent, surrounded by people who once called her a monster. Kyle stepped forward slowly. Every human weapon aimed at her. He raised a hand to stop them. "Don't," he said. "She's not here to fight us." No one moved. The resistance commander yelled to stand down. But fingers still hovered over triggers. All it would take was one panic shot to start a bloodbath. Veil Zira raised one clawed hand and pulled a small crystal from her belt. She placed it on the ground in front of Kyle and stepped back. Her eyes never left his. The crystal pulsed. With green light. "She chose you," whispered a scientist beside Kyle. "That's a command beacon. She's signaling alliance, submission. It's a ritual among her kind." Kyle bent down and picked up the crystal. It was warm in his palm, not metal, not stone, alive in some strange way. It pulsed in rhythm with his heartbeat. Veil Zira. Nelton, not in defeat. In honor, the greatest killer of her people bowed her head to a human. The camp fell into silence. Kyle didn't understand the rules of her culture. But something deep told him this wasn't fake. This wasn't strategy. This was real. Whatever she had felt when they first met had grown stronger. Later that night, the camp remained quiet. No one approached her. She sat near the edge, eyes glowing faintly, armor dimmed. Kyle walked toward her without fear. She looked up. Her voice was softer now. "You were the first to stand," she said. "The first not to beg. You awakened something I forgot I had." Kyle sat beside her. "Why now? Why save us? Why me?" She turned her head toward the stars. "My people crush. We do not pause. But when I touched you, I felt peace. A thing my kind has lost. You brought it back with your silence. Your defiance." They sat there for a long time. No war, no orders. Just a strange connection in the middle of madness. Her breathing slowed. She leaned closer, head nearly touching his shoulder. "You confuse me, human," she said. "And I do not want it to stop." From the shadows, many eyes watched them. Some with fear, some with curiosity, and a few with jealousy. Not everyone wanted peace. Not everyone trusted her, but for that moment, none of it mattered. A warrior who had crushed skulls now rested beside the one man she could not break, and Kyle knew the war was changing. The alliance didn't sit well with everyone. Some humans called Kyle a traitor. Others whispered that the alien was manipulating him. They didn't understand what they saw. They couldn't feel what Kyle felt when she was near. Vale Zira didn't try to explain herself. She stayed near the human camp, watching from a distance. She never harmed anyone again. But the tension in the air was sharp, like a blade pressed against skin. One night, a group of armed soldiers tried to ambush her while she rested. They called it justice, revenge. They thought they were heroes, but they never returned. In the morning, only their weapons were left in a neat pile by the camp gate. Kyle found her later, sitting by a dying fire. Her armor was scratched, her knuckles bruised, but her expression was calm. He didn't ask what happened. He already knew. They attacked, she responded. "But she didn't kill. I showed restraint," she said quietly. "Only because of you." Kyle sat beside her. The air was cold. Her warmth felt close but distant. "They're afraid of you." "I don't think they'll stop," she nodded. "Fear is the poison that drives your kind. It drives mine too. But in you, I see something stronger." He didn't know what to say. But she leaned closer, and for the first time, her hand touched his arm without claws. The next day, the alien high command sent a message. Vale Zira had gone rogue. They demanded her return. If she refused, they would consider her a traitor, and anyone helping her would be marked for death. Kyle brought the message to her. She didn't flinch. She read the symbols on the hologram and crushed the device in her hand. "They will come for me." "For us," she said. "Then we fight." Kyle replied. She tilted her head. "You would choose me over your own kind?" "I'm choosing what's right," he said. "And right now, you're the only one who isn't trying to destroy everything." That night, they prepared for war. Not against humans, not against her people, but against those who refused to change. Kyle trained his squad. Vale Zira shared secrets of alien combat. Side by side, they became something new. The first strike came at dawn. Alien assassins dropped from the sky with silent wings. But the camp was ready. Vale Zira moved through the dark like lightning, claws tearing through shadows. Kyle led the defense, every shot precise. The humans watched in awe as the Skullbreaker protected them. The fear began to fade. Some saluted her. Some brought her food. A few even smiled. After the battle, she walked into Kyle's tent without knocking. He was cleaning his rifle. She knelt in front of him, her glowing eyes softer than ever. "In my world, bonding is rare, painful, but once done, it cannot be undone. I offer it to you." Kyle's breath caught. "What does it mean?" "It means my life is yours. My strength is yours. My enemies are your enemies. And if I fall only beside you." Kyle didn't speak for a long time. He looked at her hand, clawed but steady. Then he reached out and took it. A bright light surrounded them. Not fire, not energy, something ancient, something sacred. Her eyes closed. His heart slowed. The bond had begun. Outside the tent, the world remained uncertain. But inside, a warrior who once crushed skulls now rested her head on a human's shoulder. And in that moment, the war changed forever. The bond between them became known across both sides of the war. Some feared it, some mocked it. But a few began to wonder if it was the beginning of something new. Kyle noticed changes in her. Vale Zira's rage became focused. She no longer fought to kill. She fought to protect. And when she was near him, her glow softened, her voice grew calmer, and her hands no longer curled into fists. He noticed changes in himself too. He could feel her thoughts sometimes. Not words but feelings, pain, doubt, pride, and something else, deeper affection. They were no longer just allies. They were connected. And the bond gave them strength that no weapon could match. The alien command grew more aggressive. They couldn't allow one of their elite warriors to side with a human. They declared Veil Zira a disgrace to her bloodline and sent a kill squad to erase her from history. The attackers came in silence. Clad in red armor, marked with ancient runes, they carried weapons that pulsed with dark light. They didn't speak. They only hunted. Kyle and Veil Zira were away from camp when the ambush came. 5 assassins surrounded them in a dead forest where no birds sang. Kyle raised his rifle. She drew her blades. And they stood back to back. The first strike came fast. One alien lunged at Kyle, but Veil Zira's blade intercepted. Sparks flew. Blood sprayed. The fight had begun. She moved like a shadow with claws. He moved like a storm with fire. Together, they tore through the attackers. The bond between them sharpened their senses. They knew each other's rhythm. They trusted without hesitation. One assassin landed a hit. A deep cut across Kyle's side. Veil Zira roared with fury. Her voice echoed through the trees. She crushed the attacker's skull beneath her heel and rushed to Kyle's side. He clutched the wound, gasping. Blood poured through his fingers. She pressed her palm to his chest and closed her eyes. A strange glow spread from her hand into his body. He screamed once. Then the pain faded. What did you do?" he asked. "I gave you part of me," she said. "The bond allows it. Your flesh is now marked by mine." He felt it. A new strength. A strange warmth under his skin. He stood up, faster than he should have. The wound was healing. They returned to the camp in silence. The others stared at them with wide eyes. Not because they survived, but because they had returned stronger. Rumors grew louder. Some called him the alien bound. Others whispered that she had become his protector in body and soul. One thing was clear, they could no longer be separated. That night, Veil Zira sat by the fire, polishing her blade. Kyle sat beside her, watching the stars. He turned to her and asked, "What happens if we lose?" She looked at him, her eyes glowing in the dark. "Then I fall with you. But not before we carve our names into the bones of the sky." For a long time, neither of them spoke. There was no need. They understood everything that needed to be said. From the shadows, jealous eyes watched. Not all humans accepted their bond. Not all aliens wanted peace. But none of them had the courage to act yet. In the stillness of night, a sound broke the calm. Not a weapon, not footsteps. It was soft. A low hum from her chest. A sound of trust. Of peace, of comfort. Kyle turned to her. "Are you purring?" She blinked slowly, her voice calm. "Only for you." The next morning brought silence, but it wasn't peaceful. It was the kind that came before a storm. The kind that pressed against your chest and made every breath feel heavy. Inside the command tent, human leaders argued. Some wanted to use Veil Zira as a weapon. Others wanted her gone. They didn't understand her bond with Kyle. To them, it was dangerous, unnatural, a threat to the chain of command. Kyle stood in the center of the tent with her beside him. Her armor gleamed. Her expression calm but cold. She said nothing while the humans debated her fate like she was an object on a table. "We can't trust her," one officer barked. "She killed dozens of our men before she turned soft for this soldier." Kyle didn't flinch. She didn't turn soft. She turned towards something stronger than fear. "If you can't see that, you're blind." Another commander leaned forward. "What's to stop her from turning back into the Skullbreaker when it suits her?" Veil Zira finally spoke. Her voice was low but sharp. I do not follow your orders. I follow the bond. I have spilled enough blood. If you raise a hand to him, I will become your nightmare again. The room fell into silence. No one spoke. No one moved. Her words cut deeper than any blade. Later, away from the camp, Kyle sat by the riverbank. The water was cold, but it cleared. His mind, Veil Zira joined him, her footsteps light despite her weight. They will never fully trust me, she said. They don't need to, Kyle replied. They just need to stop getting in our way. She knelt beside him. Her reflection in the water looked almost human in the dim light. I do not regret the bond. But it isolates you. I've never felt more seen, he said. Their moment was interrupted by a sudden flash in the sky. A massive ship descended, its black hull marked with red war symbols. It hovered over the horizon like a god descending for judgment. Veil Zira's eyes narrowed. It's her, my sister, the War Mother. She comes for me. Kyle stood, rifle in hand. How strong is she? Stronger than me, Veil Zira answered. But not stronger than us. The alien War Mother landed with fire and thunder. Her armor was heavier, her claws longer. Her presence filled the valley with dread. She walked like a queen who had already written her victory. She stood across the field from them. Her army spread out behind her like a wall of moving steel. She raised one hand and pointed at Veil Zira. You have shamed your blood, she said. Come home and die with honor, or fall with the human you've chosen. Veil Zira didn't answer. She stepped forward, claws gleaming. Kyle moved beside her. The message was clear. She would not face her past alone. The War Mother's laugh shook the air. Then you choose death. But Veil Zira only smiled. No, I choose love. The War Mother charged. Her army roared. Kyle and Veil Zira met them head-on. The battlefield exploded into chaos. Fire, steel, screams. Veil Zira fought with fury, but her strikes were precise. Kyle covered her with every bullet he had, never letting her fall. The War Mother reached them. Her blade struck Veil Zira's shoulder, drawing black blood. Kyle fired straight into the War Mother's face, but her armor deflected it. She turned. On him, claws raised. Veil Zira slammed into her sister, knocking her back. The two titans crashed to the ground, locked in brutal combat. Kyle tried to reach them, but waves of enemies kept coming. His arms ached. His vision blurred, but he kept fighting. Because she was still alive. Because he could still feel her through the bond. And because she once said she'd fall only beside him. Asterisk, the battlefield burned beneath the weight of war. Smoke twisted in the sky, lit by red and green flames. Bodies lay across the field, some armored, some human, all caught in the fury of two worlds colliding. Kyle pushed through the haze, breath short, vision sharp. He didn't look back. He didn't stop. Veil Zira was somewhere in that smoke. And he wouldn't leave her alone. The War Mother rose from a crater, blood on her jaw, fury in her eyes. Veil Zira staggered to her feet, chest heaving, one arm barely moving. Her armor was cracked, one eye swollen shut, but her spirit did not waver. Kyle reached her side and fired a shot that struck the War Mother's leg. It didn't kill her. It barely slowed her. But it made her turn toward him instead of Veil Zira. The War Mother charged, teeth bared. Kyle didn't move. He knew he couldn't outrun her. He could only stand. Veil Zira roared and threw herself between them. Her claw met the War Mother's blade. Steel rang out like thunder. Sparks flew. She screamed in pain but didn't fall. With her last ounce of strength, Veil Zira knocked her sister off balance. Kyle saw the opening and took it. He grabbed a fallen alien spear and drove it into the War Mother's exposed chest. The weapon pierced deep. The War Mother gasped. Her eyes met Veil Zira's. Then without a word, she collapsed. Silence fell. The enemy soldiers stood frozen, Their leader was dead. The fire in their hearts vanished. Without the War Mother, they were just soldiers, not gods. They dropped their weapons. Veil Zira dropped to her knees. Blood leaked from her side. Her breathing was shallow. Kyle rushed to catch her before she fell completely. "Don't," he said. "You stay with me." She touched his face with a trembling claw. "The bond it holds." "But I am fading." "No," he said, holding her tighter. "We didn't come this far just to lose each other now." He placed his forehead to hers. The bond flared to life. A golden light pulsed between them. Her body shivered. Her heartbeat slowed but did not stop. The others gathered around them. Humans and aliens alike. No one spoke. No one dared to interrupt. Something ancient and sacred was happening. Her wounds began to close. Her breath deepened. The bond was healing her. Not because of power, but because of choice. Because Kyle refused to let her go, her eyes fluttered open. "Weak but alive." She whispered, "You brought me back." "You never left," he said. She reached for his hand. "You made me more than a weapon. You made me whole." The remaining alien troops knelt in silence. They saw not just a warrior, but a leader. A legend. A sister who defied death through love. That night, the stars returned. The sky cleared. The fire faded. And in the middle of the quiet, Veil Zira curled beside Kyle beneath the open sky. She no longer purred from instinct. She purred from peace. And Kyle, once a nameless soldier, held the fiercest being in the galaxy like she was his own heartbeat. Days passed since the War Mother's fall. The battlefield had turned quiet. No more ships filled the sky. No more death cries echoed through the valleys. The war was not over across the stars, but on this part of Earth, peace had begun. Veil Zira healed slowly. Her body was scarred, but her spirit remained strong. She spent most of her time outside the human base, watching the horizon, always alert, always listening. But now her eyes looked not for enemies, but for signs of future hope. Kyle was no longer seen as just a soldier. He was something more, a symbol, a living bridge between two enemies who had known only blood. Some still feared him. Some called him the Alien Bound. Others simply called him Commander. The alien troops who once served under the War Mother did not return to their fleet. They laid down their weapons and stayed. They followed Veil Zira not because she demanded it, but because she showed them something their war had stolen from them: dignity. The resistance began to rebuild. Broken towers rose again. Human engineers worked beside alien techsmiths. Slowly, mistrust gave way to silent nods, then cautious smiles, then the start of real understanding. One evening, Kyle stood at the edge of the forest where he had first seen her. The place where she had once crushed skulls without blinking. He remembered the fire in her eyes, the fury in her fists, and the moment she chose not to kill him. Behind him, soft footsteps approached. She was quiet now, no longer a thunderstorm. She stood beside him, arms folded, her body tall and proud. "I was born to destroy," she said. "And yet, here I am wishing to build." He looked at her. "You've changed everything. Not just for me. For all of us." Her eyes glowed gently. "You gave me a reason to stop fighting. Then you gave me a reason to fight again. But this time, for something worth bleeding for." He reached into his jacket and pulled out a small object. The crystal she had once given him, the symbol of her bond. It still pulsed faintly in his hand. She placed her palm over his. "Let it be sealed," she said. A ring of light surrounded them. The bond deepened, not through war, not through pain, but through trust freely given. She leaned forward, her forehead touching his. "You are my mate now, my equal, my calm in rage, my fire in stillness. And you," he said, "are the reason I survived." From that day on, she never left his side, not as a protector, not as a weapon, but as a partner. The one who once brought fear now stood as Earth's shield. They traveled together to the stars. From battle-torn moons to broken worlds, not to conquer, but to speak. To show others what was possible when enemies laid down their hate. Wherever they went, soldiers stood down. Children came out of hiding. People listened, not because of orders, but because of the bond between a human and an alien warrior who once crushed skulls without mercy. Now her hands held peace, and her heart purred only for him.